now we're going to take a look through the fresh off-the-press French newspapers with Flo. Hi there.
Kat.
Been thumbing through them for us. We're going to start off with the Prime Minister. Now, we're not talking politics exactly. We're talking football. He's come under fire because he took a publicly paid-for jet to go and see a football match. I approve of the football part, but not of the public expenses.
That's right. This is the Champions League final that took place on Saturday between Barcelona and Juventus in Berlin. Now, Manuel Valls was born in Catalonia. It's no secret that he's a big fan of Barcelona, but he claims, and the president has backed him up on this, that he actually went to Berlin because he was invited by Michel Platini. Michel Platini is the president of the Union of European Football Associations. And he says he went there to talk about the upcoming Euro 2016, which is going to be held here in France. And since he was there, he went to the game. But according to an article in Le Canard Enchaîné today, actually, there was no meeting actually scheduled.
Oh, no.
They did meet. There have been photos that were taken of them in the VIP section of the stadium, but there was no official meeting.
And so there wasn't really a good reason for spending that money.
There wasn't good reasons for spending that money. And on top of that, Manuel Valls brought his two kids along with him. Now,
maybe that makes it better value for money.
Exactly.
18,000 euros shared between three.
Exactly. Now, that's what they're talking about. The total cost, some say it could be up to 20,000 euros, of course, on the taxpayer's dime. What's all the more controversial about this as well is that Valls took this little quick express trip to Berlin during the Socialist Party Congress that was being held over the weekend in Poitiers. So it's a very controversial moment for the Prime Minister.
And a lot of people in the Socialist Party have already been saying for quite a long time he's not all that socialist as far as we see it. They call them caviar socialists here in France, don't they? Kind of bad news for the party, no?
Absolutely. Bad news for the party, for the image of the party. If we take a look at Libération today, they have a photo of Manuel Valls here dressed up like a player from Barcelona there. Valls scores against his own team. In its editorial, Libération has very harsh words. You can see they're talking about a foot. Foot is a mistake. This aerial lapse of judgment, as Libération calls it, comes at a time when people's trust in politicians is at an all-time low. This is not only a political mistake, this is an ethical mistake, according to Libération.
It is certainly an own goal or a foul, popping up that word quite a lot in the papers today.
That's right. Let's take a look at the front page of Le Parisien today. They talk about a grosse gaffe, so once again, a major mistake. By treating himself to this family and football getaway on the taxpayer's dime, Valls has seriously damaged his own reputation as well. It's a very embarrassing situation for the Prime Minister that reminds the cartoonist for the Parisien, which is Rançon, reminds him of the embarrassment that Valérie Trierweiler cost Hollande when she published her tell-all book called Thank You for This Moment. So you need to understand that to understand this cartoon. You can see Valls here talking to his two kids, saying, what do you say to Daddy for bringing you to the soccer game? And they say, thank you for this moment.
Very neat indeed. Okay, so whether it's a major mistake or just a little faux pas, this definitely is a scandal here in France, isn't it? It goes against what's quite a carefully tailored image for Manuel Valls.
That's right. And what's interesting is that's exactly the reason why Le Figaro, so the main conservative paper, criticizes Valls today. Now, according to this article in Le Figaro, it's legitimate for a head of government to take a little bit of time off, given his very busy schedule. And as you were saying, it's not shocking that he brought his kids along with him because it didn't actually cost the state any extra money. The mistake, and this is where it's a problem, is that it's a PR mistake. It's a communication mistake from Manuel Valls, and it's very unlike him. And Les Echos, the business paper, agrees. Usually the Prime Minister is one step ahead of the press. He keeps a lid on all sorts of scandals, but he's letting this football getaway turn into a major scandal, and that's the only thing people are talking about. People aren't talking about the very good speech he gave at that party congress in Poitiers that actually brought the Socialist Party together. They're not talking about his latest reforms that have actually been applauded by a lot of people in the business community, and that's the problem. All this is being overshadowed by this scandal.
Indeed. Well, I think I'm personally a bit more worried about my euros being spent on his jet rather than his PR image, but each to their own. Well, we're going to stick with football, but move away from Manuel Valls. We talked about this in our news bulletin. France have got their World Cup, Ladies World Cup, we should say, campaign off to a winning start.
That's right. We beat England 1-0 yesterday, so this is the World Cup in Canada, kicked off over the weekend. A lot of people, myself included, are very excited about the World Cup, but there are 5 reasons not to be excited.
What?
You can read about it in Slate today. First of all, women's soccer doesn't go as fast as men's soccer. Another reason is that people say that women are more fair play on the field, but that's not true. Women can be just as vicious.
That's true equality, isn't it?
Exactly. The real problem, though, is goalies, goalkeepers. They're really not that good in women's teams, according to Slate. And also, teams aren't balanced within the competition. You have some really good teams and you have some really bad teams. And indeed, Germany creamed Ivory Coast in their first game 10-0. I watched the game. It was really painful to watch. But even though this article says
I would love to watch that.
Well, that's another reason. And another article in Slate's the counter argument that says there are 5 reasons to be very excited about this World Cup.
Okay.
One of them is that there are a lot more goals in women's soccer than men's soccer, perhaps because the goalies are so bad. Also, it's a real World Cup, unlike the men's World Cup where there are only just teams from Europe and South America that are good. You have Asian teams that are good. And also, we might not be as physical and fast, but women's soccer is much more technical and therefore all the more exciting.
My mum and dad vastly enjoyed seeing the women's football at the Olympics, I have to say. So I'm going to be inspired by them and start tuning in. Thanks very much, Flo Villamino. He'll be back a bit later on looking through the international papers for us as well.